All right. So now let's create our organization. Let's create our management organization hierarchy. So yesterday we looked at the XYZ. Yesterday we looked at the XYZ Motors organization, right? And you created the structure like XYZ Motors, and then it had one subordinate called XYZ Motors Executive, and then XYZ Motors Executive had two subordinates. One was XYZ Motors Manufacturing, the other one was XYZ Motors Sales, right? So why don't we try to create that structure in Workday? So let's start by creating the top level organization. Now, can anyone tell me what is the task to create a supervisory organization?
Create
Create
You have to start
supervisory
reorganize.
SUPORG.
Create SUPORG. I was just checking if you guys saw the video or not. Thank you. So create supervisory organization. Create supervisory organization. That is the task that we will use to create a supervisory organization, right? We will put it in the search bar. And what needs to happen for me to be able to search this? There are two parameters, 2 points that I mentioned, right? If you put something in the search bar, it will come up, it will show the task if two things are met.
If you have the access to it,
And
then if the spellings are
yeah, so if I
correct.
write something like this, you see it doesn't find anything because my spellings are wrong, right? Although my intent is correct, my spelling is wrong, so it couldn't find, and it will not be able to find the task if I don't have access to it. But we are logged in as Logan McNeil, right? So after we sign into the tenant, after we sign into this environment, the first thing that we typically do is we check whether we are logged in as Logan McNeil or not, right? And if we are not logged in as Logan McNeil, then what needs to happen? What do you need to do?
proxy login as Logan McLean.
Proxy.
You have to proxy, right? So
proxy.
let me show you one more time what I mean. So if I just a second. So let's say if I am logged in as someone else, okay? So maybe when you log in, this is something that comes up as your welcome page. Okay, it can be anything, but not Logan, right? If it is Logan, absolutely fine. So how to check whether you are logged in as Logan or not? So just click on your profile at the top right, and it will tell you if you are Logan McNeil. So in this case, we see it is not Logan McNeil. So then what do? We click on the search bar and say start
proxy.
proxy. Okay, start proxy. So we are going to behave, or we are going to be like Logan McNeil. We are going to do our tasks with her ID. All right. So it will say act as. Whom are you going to act as? So you will search for Logan McNeil. You can type in the full name, or what I prefer is L McNeil. Okay, L McNeil, and press enter, and you are able to search for Logan. Click OK. All right, so now we are logged in as Logan McNeil. So you see at the top left hand of your screen, it says on behalf of Logan McNeil. And you also see Logan's picture on the top right of your screen, right? So these are the two things we must check before we start doing our activities. If you need to be proxied as someone else, it will be mentioned in the assignment, right? For this assignment, you need to proxy as some other worker. All right, so now let's create our supervisory organization. The task, like you all said, is create supervisory organization. You see, I'm not typing the full words. I'm only typing part of it, and that is enough. It is giving me the necessary task. You see, I typed create sup org, and it found the task for me, create supervisory organization. Let me click on that. And immediately it asks me for a reorganization, right? What is the reorganization? It's an event
Event.
that we will, yeah, it's an event that we will use to track and audit all the organization related changes that we are going to make. Like whenever we are making changes to the structure. So I'm creating a supervisory organization. It means that what? I'm creating a new management hierarchy, right? Definitely something that needs to be tracked and audited. So my Workday will ask me, okay, why are you doing it? What is the reorganization event? We created one, right? We work. So I will search for that. If I do not have one available, then I can click on this reorganization field and I can create one as well, right? Like I showed you, we can create one. We can click on this create reorganization as well. But we have created one already. We will use it. Okay, so you see the moment I am creating the organization, you see it has come up with an availability date. The availability date has come from the reorganization date. You see the today's date is different, right? But when I'm creating the organization with this reorganization as we work, it has picked up the availability date from the reorganization date. That's why the reorganization date, effective date, is very important, because that is the date from which we are going to effective date our objects. Now, can we change it to something else? Yes, of course, we can do that, right? We can do that, but then that defeats the purpose of having a reorganization effective date. So we will continue to follow the reorganization effective date, right? Now, the first thing it will ask is, okay, what is the name? What is the name of the what is the name of the supervisory organization? So for all the tasks that I'm going to do as part of this training, I'm going to use the prefix WW, right? WW stands for we work. I'm going to use this prefix so that you are able to recognize the task, the objects that were created as part of this training, right? But in the real world, you do not need to give any prefix. If you will just straight away go ahead and give the name of the objects as has been specified. Like XYZ Motors should be specified as XYZ Motors and not WW underscore XYZ Motors. Get the point? Like when you create your objects, I would want you to use your prefix for each of the objects. Okay, like let's say if your name is Divya, use D, and if your surname is say Mehra, use M. So DM. Okay, I see there are two people with DM, so maybe you use DM1. One of you can use DM1, the other person can use DM2. Right? Just to distinguish your objects, your configuration from that of your colleagues. All right. So the first organization that we are creating is WW underscore XYZ Motors. And you have an option here to include the organization ID as part of the name. Now, when you create an organization, Workday automatically generates the organization ID. That is the reference ID, and that is unique. Okay, we will not include it as part of the name. It just makes it too long. Now, then there is an option to include the code. Okay, now in legacy systems, in older kind of systems, uh, especially in the mainframe era, there was some restriction in the length of the name, in the length of the fields. So what they used to do was they used to have numbers to denote um, some objects, right? So that has carried on for years, and even in modern systems, they want to retain that old department number or department code. So if you have that department code already, if the business has given you a department code already, or if they want you to use a new code, like let's say 1001, if that is the code that you have to use, so use it. Remember, we are consultants. We are not going to generate the code. We will just use the code that has been given to us by the business, right? So we will if they have given us a code, use it. Do you want to include the code as part of the name? Do you want to show up? Do you want this to show up as part of the name? If it is yes, include code in the name. Click on this checkbox. Do you want to include the manager or the leader as part of the name? Right? Sometimes it makes sense because it is easy for you to search for the organization, right? Let's say if I ask you, okay, find John's department, find the department that John is managing. So if you include the manager as part of the name, it becomes easier for you to find it. So some enterprises um, prefer to have the manager's name as part of the name of the department that they manage. It makes it easy for them to navigate, right? You may include the manager or the leader as part of the name as well. Now, the subtype, okay? So the subtype is typically used in the reporting purposes and just to distinguish one supervisory organization from another. So there are some provided subtypes like club, business unit, okay, company, department, and so on. So let's use it as a department. Okay, somebody created some other ones as well. Yeah, we will just ignore that. We will use department as our subtype. Then comes visibility. Now, who all are authorized to view this particular organization? Now, let's look at the options. You see, whenever there is this dot and dash, dot, dash, dot, that three dot dashes, you see that for some of the fields, you have this three dot dashes next to it. That means that there are some available options. That means that it is a drop down. Okay. If a field does not have any drop down, that means it is a text field, right? So like for the name is a text field, the code is a text field, but the subtype, visibility, external URL, primary location, these are drop downs. That means you have to choose from some existing values. So visibility, let me click on the field and it will give me a list of drop downs. Sorry, visibility. So we have four options for visibility. Number one is everyone. If I click on everyone, that means that all the users of this particular tenant will be able to view this organization, right? Now, is it something that you want? If yes, then of course use everyone. When you have nothing to hide, let's say, the people say my life is an open book, I have nothing to hide. If that is the case, if you do not have to hide this organization, of course, make it visible to everyone. But sometimes what happens, organizations or enterprises, they do not want to disclose about this organization before a certain date. Maybe because it is confidential, maybe because they don't want to make it public. Okay, so they want only to let everybody know on a certain date and time, right? So before that, while they are creating it, they might want to use a more restrictive approach. So like role assignees. Role assignees means anybody who has been assigned a role in this organization, only they would be able to view it. Okay, so let's say only the manager of this organization is going to be able to see it. Only the HR partner, compensation partner, benefits partner. These are some of the roles that we will work with. So if that is the role you have assigned to someone, only they will be able to view this supervisory organization, no one else. And then you have another option which says role assignees and members, right? So of course, role assignees like your compensation partner, manager, benefits partner, etc., they will be able to view, and people who are members of this organization. Only these two sets of people will be able to view this particular organization, no one else. And then you also have another option which has been recently introduced, that is a role assignees of current and superiors. So the supervisory organization will form a superior subordinate hierarchy structure, right? So if you use the last option, role assignees of current and superiors, if there is a superior organization to this, and if people have been assigned some roles there, they would also be able to view this particular organization, right? So this is only needed if, I mean, these options, other options and everyone, they are only needed if you have to restrict the viewership of this particular organization. Okay, so based on whichever option you want, you can choose. We will use everyone, right? We want,
Krish,
yes.
I have a doubt here.
Mhm.
So, apart from these four options, why do we still have the search criteria? I mean, are there more options?
No, this is just a four option. So like if you're already aware, so let's say you can type every and that's it.
Okay.
So like
And regarding,
let's say you are
yeah,
very familiar with it. So you just type every and press enter. You see it automatically selects it.
okay. And then regarding the subtypes, so what is the purpose of subtype?
Purpose of subtype is basically to use for reporting and configuration purposes. I mean, they don't serve any other real purpose as such. Okay, it's
Okay.
just for
And
reporting. Like, yeah, what type of organization is this? You can say, okay, it's a department. I mean, it's a supervisory organization, but it mimics a department.
okay. And these are not built in, right? I mean, we can create our own subtypes.
The department is built in. Department, company, and business unit and division, they are built in, and group. These are built in. But yeah, you can create your own. Like a lot of people have created their own. I will show you how to create a organization subtype.
One last question. So when you say built-in, do the functionalities differ? Is department different from company, from division and all?
It all depends like what for what reason you are creating this supervisory organization. I mean, what is it going to mimic in the real world, right?
Okay.
So if you are creating this as an entity for a department, right? So yeah, just select department because that will help you when you are running your reports, right?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So now we will go to like if this organization has their own URL, right? If they have their web page or something, you can put it in the external URL, right? Like maybe um, it has a website in your company website, right? As part of that, it has its own page. So you can create that external URL, okay? And you can give it a name. I mean, you can give it a name, and you can give the actual URL. Like let's say www.xyz.com/landing/top.html, right? Whichever is the name. So this is the organization landing page. Okay, so let's call it as www underscore, and here we have to specify HTTPS, something like that, right? So this is how we do it. Whatever is the website, you can put it like this and click OK. All right, so you see www.org landing page. So you have configured your external URL. Now, what is the primary location of this particular organization? So if you are creating the first organization, if you're creating the top level organization, then your primary location would be what? The company headquarters, typically, right? Because that is the first location that has to be created, your company headquarters. So here I will use an existing one, that is Chicago. I will enter Chicago and I will search for it, and I will, there's so many Chicagos people have created. I will use this particular Chicago. That is going to be my primary location. Now, I have to choose a staffing model. We will talk about staffing models next week, but today I'm just going to use job management. All right, I will just use job management as my staffing model. And you can define the roles if you already know like who is going to be the manager, who is going to be the owner of this, you can define that straight away. All right, but I will just leave it. There are so many roles that people have created which were just not necessary. Anyway, so we will just leave it as it is, and we will add one role. Let's say I will add a role for manager. Okay, I will add a role for manager. I'll search for it. Just let me check once if this is the right manager. People have been practicing too much, it seems. They have created a lot of unnecessary objects. Okay, let me use the first one itself. Okay, so this manager, and I am assigning this to Logan McNeil. Okay, so you see, I can search for this worker, search for the role, first of all, the role of manager, and then I am assigning it to Logan McNeil. Right? Click OK to save this. Assigned to some roles that people have created. Just give me 1 second. Just all right, let me do this. Let me just cancel this out and let me quickly create it one more time. Okay, I'll just cancel this out. I'll just copy the name and I will cancel this and I will start again. Okay, so the task again, let's start. So it is create supervisory organization. It's right here. I can use it. And it will prompt me for the reorganization. Okay, so we will use WeWork. And okay. I'll quickly choose the options. The name I already have. The code, I put it as 1001, include code in the name. Subtype, I chose as department. Visibility was everyone. Okay. Primary location was Chicago. Okay. And then I had chosen job management, and in the assigned roles, I will assign a new role. Okay. So add a role, you click on this plus icon, the add row at the top, search for manager. Okay. All right, manager, and I will assign it to, it says, you see, assigned to is Logan McNeil. Okay, click on OK to save the organization. Again, what is the problem?
There are so many managers. Okay, I mean a role as a manager. So is it the problem?
No, as you see, people have created some roles, and I mean, this is something to do with security. When we do security, we will talk about this. People have created some configurations which were not necessary or which weren't correctly done. So that is the
Okay.
problem that we are seeing. Let me try to get
But
rid of
then
it,
why is it getting applicable to our supervisory organization?
because they have created these roles as for everybody. I mean, that's the reason they did not do a good job.
Okay.
So unnecessarily they created this, and anyway, what can we say? I will try to get rid of some of these, but too many of them. You see 73.
Krish, I think it is not because of we have changed that location, primary location. It is not because of that we are getting this error.
Location? No, it
Yeah,
doesn't
we
have to
have
do
changed
anything.
it to Chicago to New York, no?
Did we? No, we are using Chicago. It doesn't have to do with anything with the location, as of now, at least. Okay, yeah, I got rid of some of those stupid rules and now it is okay, right? So our primary location is Chicago. So this is how our organization looks like. You see, this is the organization ID. By default, Workday has generated a supervisory organization reference ID. If you want to change that, you can, right? How to do it? You go to the related actions and you go to integration IDs and edit reference ID. Again, related actions of the supervisory organization, integration IDs, edit reference ID. If you want to do that, you can. You see, supervisory organization, I will keep it the same name as the name of the organization. So which is WW_XYZ Motors. Okay, the same name as the name of the organization. Now, what that allows us to do is, if we follow this naming convention, like where we set the organization ID or the reference ID as the same name as the object, then if we follow this convention diligently, it allows us to prevent duplicates. Right now, I cannot create another organization with the reference ID as WW_XYZ Motors because the reference ID or this organization ID has to be unique. All right. So it's a good practice to follow, not mandatory, but good to follow. Okay. So what is the type of organization that we created? Can we tell it by looking at this particular page? What is the type of the organization?
Supervisory.
supervisory.
Right. It is visible here. And we are looking at this object as of 9th of March, right? As of today. We are looking at this organization as of today. Right? So now what does that mean? Now, view as of, does this indicate that we can look at this organization of it as of a different date, like maybe in the past or maybe in the future? What do you think?
Not from today. From today.
No, from today, yes, because that's what we created. But can we look at this organization structure as of a future date? What do you think?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
We can. Yes, we
can
can,
change.
right? We would be able to view this organization as of a future date. Now, what is the function? What is the advantage of doing that? Or what is the plus point of being able to look into the future?
So
What do you think?
it is because we are opening a new thing in future date. For that, we are doing it advance.
So let's say you are hiring a few people, right? You are going to hire 5, 6 workers as part of this organization. So you and all of them may not be hired on the same day, right? So they will be, maybe the first worker is going to join us next week. The second person is going to join us next month, and so on. So you want to look at this organization structure as of the 1st of June, by which you are expecting that all of these people will join. So if you look at this organization as of the 1st of June 2022, then you would be able to see all the workers that you are planning to hire, or maybe you are already in the process of hiring, right? So you can look at this as of a future effective date as well. All right, that will typically allow you to look at future dated hires. Now, maybe this is, let's say this is an old organization. It was created in 2010 or something. And then there were many people who came in who were part of this organization. Then they left, they were transferred, they were terminated, and so on. They retired. So a lot of staffing activity may have happened over the years. So if you want to look at this organization structure as of, let's say the 1st of January 2021, then you can also look at this particular structure as of a past effective date, right? Now, this organization we just created, this doesn't have a lot of history, but if you want to look at an organization as of a past effective date, you can definitely do it. Okay, but here we are not going to do it anyway. So now we have just created the organization. Let's look at the details tab. There are a lot of tabs. Let's quickly go over them. So in the details tab, it gives the information that we just entered, right? The availability date, this was picked up from the reorganization date. We chose to use that. The type is supervisory. The subtype is department. That's what we chose. This is the code that we had given, 1001. And we also said that include the code as part of the name. And do you see that it is included? Right? The code 1001 is included as part of the name, isn't it? So we did that. And then what else? We set the visibility to be everyone. That's what happened. And then we went to the staffing. We had chosen job management as our staffing model. That is what it is here. And in the roles we had assigned what?
Manager.
The role of manager. So let's search for it. You can search for the role of manager, right? Oh, didn't we assign? Did we get rid of it at the end? Oh no, there's just too many managers. Yeah, that's what happens in a lot of the organizations, right? Too many managers. Well, it happened here as well. Too many types of managers. Let's find our manager. Here it is. Okay, let's filter it out. And we have assigned it to Logan McNeil, right? That's what has happened. And the organization assignments, we have not done anything so far. So it is all blank. Security groups, we have not done anything, all blank. So we have created our first organization. Yes.
Yeah. In this roles column, did you define the manager again? I mean, what did you do? Just missed it.
I was just finding it. So I clicked on this assignable role to filter it out. You see, I am searching for something. You see, there are 833 items. Now, difficult for me to find the one I need, right? So I just clicked on it.
Okay.
And I searched for manager.
But then we have already assigned a manager to our organization. So
correct. I just wanted to show you. I'm not assigning the role. I'm just showing that this is what has already been assigned.
So will it not reflect it here? We still have to search for it, is it?
I just have to search for it because there are just too many of them. 833 rows which are showing up.
Got it.
A lot of it are empty. That's why I wanted to show you that, yeah, we have assigned it to Logan McNeil.
Got it, yeah.
Okay, you can also sort descending. So only the ones where you have assigned somebody, those things will show up, and then we can see, you see manager, the manager role has been assigned to Logan McNeil. Okay. Now, this is our first organization. Do we have any members here? Who are members?
Zero. No members. Zero.
Zero members. We haven't hired anyone yet, right? We have just created the organization. So we have not hired anyone yet. That's why it is showing up as 0. We will hire in due course of time. But right now we are just creating the hierarchy structure. So what was the subordinate organization of XYZ Motors in our assignment yesterday, if anyone remembers?
Sales, manufacturing,
executive, right? Executive was the direct subordinate of XYZ Motors. And the sales and manufacturing were subordinates of executive. Right? Okay. So now let's try to see if we can create a top-down hierarchy structure. Like yesterday, you people were saying maybe a top-down hierarchical structure is easy to create, right? Let's try it out. So we have already got our first supervisory organization. Now let's go to the related actions of this particular organization. And I will scroll down to something called as reorganization. You see, related actions of this, reorganization, and I have a few options. Number one, assign superior, create subordinate, divide, and inactivate, right? We cannot delete an organization after we have created it. We cannot delete it. We can inactivate it. Okay? So please be careful. Do not just create organizations just for the sake of it. You create an organization only if you need it. Okay? So if you do not want, if this organization is no longer needed, you can inactivate the organization. Okay? You can also divide an existing organization into two, like you can split it up. Like let's say you have a sales and marketing department as one, but now the organization has grown and you have a lot of people. It is becoming difficult to manage. So what you can do is you can split it up into sales and let's say marketing, right? Or maybe you had the IT, or maybe you had the recruiting department, the recruitment, and initially you had 3 people there, but now you have 25, right? So your organization has grown, your recruiting team has grown as well. So you want to assign a different manager, you want to split it up into 2 parts, recruiting for IT, recruiting for non-IT, let's say, right? So in that case, you can divide an existing organization into more than one. Now, we will talk about assign superior a bit later, but let's create a subordinate. Okay, let's create a subordinate. Let's see this particular option. So how did I get here? Again, let me show it to you one more time. Related actions of the organization, reorganization, create subordinate. So it says, okay, what is the effective date of this subordinate? Okay, let's use the same effective date as the 7th of March that we had used for the other one. Click OK, and it will ask, okay, what is the name of the organization? So we will say WW, because that is the prefix we are using for everybody. We will say XYZ Motors Executive. Okay, and we will say the organization code is 1002, and I will include the organization code as part of the name, and I will choose the subtype as department. Now, don't you think that the options are much less than what we saw in the previous time?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
happened?
I mean,
What's
we
the
cannot
subordinate?
hire.
You see, when we were creating our XYZ Motors, it had a red asterisk next to the primary location, right? It was a red asterisk here, but here it is not. It is not asking for the staffing model like job management, position management. It is not asking for the roles. It is not asking for
Visi
all those things. So is it not?
visibility not there.
Yeah, visibility, correct. Is it so? Why is it not asking for all those things?
Maybe it
Because it
inherits.
is a subordinate and it is gonna inherit from the parent, which is the supervisory organization we created earlier.
Perfect. Yes, because it is inheriting from the superior. It is getting all those things from the superior. Absolutely correct. So you see the primary location. It gives me the option to specify that. But if I do not specify anything, then what happens?
It
It gets it from,
automatically takes at Chicago.
correct. It takes it from the superior organization. So let's try it out. And the roles, you see the roles also, it is not asking me to assign the role of a manager because it knows that it will get it from the superior organization. Now, do you want that? Maybe yes, maybe no. If you want to change the roles, you can do it at this particular organization level as well, right? But as of now, it is inheriting all those values from the superior organization. I will click on submit. Okay, so I'll just click on submit. It says you have submitted. So it takes me back to my XYZ Motors organization. And now let me show you an interesting thing. You are already seeing something here. You see the subordinate is XYZ Motors Executive, right? And the ID, the code is 1002. You will also be able to see it in the details tab here again. Here also you will be able to see the subordinate, right? In two places. This is the first place, this is the second place. In the first place, in the number 1, in this particular position, it shows only top 5 subordinate. Top 5 meaning as per the alphabetically. Only 5 in this particular place. Okay, in number 1, it shows only the top 5. If you want to see all the subordinates, you have to come in the place number 2 in the details tab, right? If there are more than 5 subordinates and you want to see all of them, you can come and look at this particular place, the second place. Okay, now let's go to this subordinate and let's see for ourselves what happened. Let's go here. So I'm clicking on this XYZ Motors executive. So now we are in that particular page. The type is supervisory. The superior organization we know is XYZ Motors. Let's look at the details. All right, you see primary location is Chicago and location has been inherited from the superior, correct? Visibility is everyone. We didn't specify, but it got it from the superior, isn't it? Staffing model is job management. We didn't specify it either, but it again got it inherited from the superior organization. And if I go and look at the roles, you'll see a subtle difference here. Let me just show you the role of manager. You see, the role of manager is Logan McNeil, but is it saying assigned? It says inherited.
Inherited.
Right? It says inherited. So inherited from what? Or from where?
From the parent, which is the superior organization.
Absolutely correct. It has inherited that from the superior organization. Now, can I change it? Can I assign this to somebody else?
Yes.
Yeah, we should be able to.
We should be able to do that, right? Let's try that. So let's go to the details section. First of all, let's try to change the primary location, right? We don't want it to be Chicago. Let's say we want it to be something else. So we go to the related actions. Okay, everything that you do, you have to take the related actions of the object. So we are doing it for executive. So I will go to the object, related actions, and then supervisory organization, the first option, and I can edit the primary location, right? I can edit the primary location. So it will ask me, okay, you want to do it, but from what effective date? From what effective date? So if you do not remember when this organization was created, right? It was created on the 7th of March. I mean, with an effective date of 7th of March. But if you do not want to, if you do not remember that, or maybe if you want to do it from the beginning of time, you use something like this, 01/01/1900. That denotes, in Workday, that denotes the beginning of time, right? 01/01/1900. If you do not know any time, or maybe you want to backdate it till the beginning of time, this is the date you will use, 1st of January 1900. Okay, let me use that and click OK. So it says, okay, now what is the primary location now? So let's find out. Let's say London or maybe New York. Right? Let's use New York. There will be many New Yorks. Let me choose the right New York. Not sure if this is the right one. Very difficult. Anyway, let's
How
use
do
the
we
first
get to know which is the right one?
How do you know? Yeah, exactly.
I have my way. You see, it says primary location for organizations. So many people are using it. So 31 organizations are using it. So that's why I went with this, right? Typically, when you create locations, we'll create locations tomorrow. When we create locations, we have to make it a bit more meaningful rather than putting it like New York and so on. Okay.
So
and when
I just had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So whenever we create a location, every time there will be a related action stuff beside it. Like generally,
For every object in Workday, you have a
For
related
every
action.
object, there will be a related action over there.
Yes. For every object, you have a related action.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we are in XYZ Motors Executive. Let's look at the details now. You see, the primary location is New York, and that comment is gone. Location is inherited from the superior. That comment is also gone because we have broken the chain. We are no longer inheriting from the superior organization.
Krish, one more question here. Example, just we have changed the primary location, and previously, which was the primary location? Can we find that? The history of changing. How many
Yes,
times we have changed?
yes. You can go to the related actions again, and then there is this audit. This audit, you can view the audit trail. All right, you can view the audit trail and you can see from what date range you are going to view the audit range. So let's say I want to view it from 0302 to 0309 2022, right? So for this last 1 week, I want to view it. So it will give you the audit trail. But we made the change with an effective date of 1st of January 1900, right? So that means the beginning of time. That makes it a bit difficult to view. But still, you can view it. You can go to the audit. You can view audit trail and you give the date, like let's say from beginning of time, 0101-1900, 000000, and click OK. So it will give you all the changes that we made. You see here, the first one, organization has primary location. So added New York. We have added the location of New York. Okay. Got it?
Yeah.
All right. Because prior to that, it was inheriting from the superior. So on that particular day, we have added. Okay. So now we have created this subordinate. Let's quickly create another one, right? Because we need it. We need the other one, that is XYZ Motor Sales. Let's quickly create that. So let's go here and what is the option to go and create a subordinate? Related actions and then
Reorganization.
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 Create
Create
subordinate.
subordinate.
Thank you. You guys are excellent. So 0307 and okay. And let's give it a name. So it is WW. This is the one we are creating, XYZ Motors.
Krish, I have a doubt. So how important it is to specify the date, effective date, available date?
Very important, I would say. Very important.
Why?
Why? Because let's say you are creating this, because that is the day this organization becomes effective. As part of the training, it's okay. You can use any date. But
Okay.
when this, because you see, this is the system of record. In the real system, in the production system, this is the system of record. People will come back and they will audit when was this department created. The auditors might want to know that, right?
Okay.
So unless you put in your dates properly, you will have a wrong information. Okay. So let's say you are creating it now, you are creating it today, and you by mistake you choose the availability date as today's date. But you want to hire someone with an effective date of 1st of January 2011. Would you be able to do that? No, right? Because the organization was created today. How can you hire someone from 2011? May not be possible, but maybe this organization was supposed to be created with an effective date of 2000, but maybe we didn't pay attention. We just created it with today's effective date, right?
Okay.
So the effective date is very, very important. The availability date, effective date is very important. Okay. Here also we will choose organization subtype as department. Visibility will automatically inherit, include the organization code as part of the name, right? We will do this and click on submit. All right, so we have created our organization hierarchy. Now, let me show you one very interesting thing. We are at which organization? We are looking at XYZ Motors Executive. Now, if you see that it has a superior organization, it also has a subordinate. Correct? This is as
Yes.
per the yes, as per the diagram that we have created yesterday. Like XYZ Motors Executive has a superior, which is XYZ Motors, and it also has a subordinate called XYZ Motors Manufacturing. Now, for the people who are more visual in nature, like they want to see the diagram, right? So we can do that very easily. We go to the again to the related actions, and we have this option called org chart and navigate hierarchy. For now, I will use navigate hierarchy. Org chart I will show you after we have hired our people. So we are at XYZ Motors Executive. So there is a subordinate, which is XYZ Motors Manufacturing. And if I scroll up, if I go up, you see there is an up arrow. If I click on that, it takes me to the superior, that is XYZ Motors. Right? You're able to see the hierarchy structure now, XYZ Motors, and there's a subordinate called Executive. If I drill down further into Executive, it has one subordinate, that is XYZ Motors Manufacturing. Got it? All right. Yeah. Questions? Somebody had a question? No? All right. Okay. So now let me do one more thing. I will again create a supervisory organization using the task that I know of, create supervisory organization. And this time, so it asks me all the questions. So I will just want to do it one more time. And I will create an organization called XYZ Motors Sales. I'm creating this as a standalone organization. Okay. I will give the code as 1004, include code as part of the name. Just a second, what happened? Oh, the page got refreshed. Okay. All right, let me use that. So it is www_xyz motor sales. Let me correct the spelling. Code is 1004. Include code in the name. Subtype is department. Okay. Visibility is everyone. And primary location, let's say as London. Oops. Extra O, London. Okay. And staffing model is position management. Let me choose something different. And okay. Now we have again the same problem, right? We have to get rid of some of these roles. Too many unwanted roles. Just bear with me for a moment. Let me just remove some of these unnecessary roles. Which one is it? 1954. Anyway, not sure why they have created it like this. I wish I had this select all and delete option. Okay, there was few at the top which had to be deleted. This one's. Okay, let me try to save it at least.
Krish, I have a question here. When you click on the errors and you were checking that there was one error, it was showing you something with 1954. What does that number indicate?
I have no idea, literally.
Oh, okay. I just assumed that is it telling us that it is line number, that number, and I was just thinking.
Because you see there are not so many lines.
That many lines. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what people have done. You see, okay, row number 28, column number 4. So that gives me some indication. Ah, here it is. So let me get rid of this. That should fix it. And done. Perfect.
Krish, I had a question. Regarding position management and job management, how do we know which one we are supposed to select and when?
Next week. We will do staffing models next week, right? I just chose one randomly today. Like when I created the top level organization, I chose job management. For this one, I chose position management, right?
Okay.
We will talk about that in detail next week. Yeah.
Sure.
Krish, one more doubt. So when we were searching for manager, I mean manager is a built-in keyword, is it in Workday?
It is
Or do we have
it is a role that has been that is there in Workday.
It's already in Workday.
It is already there, but I will show you how to create a role as well. We will create our own manager role. Just like so many people have created theirs, we will also learn about how to create a new role. Okay. All right, but that is in security, week 3. Okay, so now we have created this standalone organization called XYZ Motors Sales, right? But ideally, this should have been part of the hierarchy, isn't it? This should have been part of the XYZ Motors hierarchy. Now, is there a way I can include it as part of the hierarchy?
We have to mention the supervisory parent organization, like the parent organization as.
Yeah, maybe, yes. Maybe if we identify the parent, if we can assign a parent to this organization, so it will be part of the hierarchy, right? As of now, does it have any superior or subordinate? You see, this area is empty, right? It doesn't have any superior or subordinate. So what we can do is we can say, hey, don't worry, we can assign a superior to you. So how to do that? Related actions and then reorganization.
Assign superior.
Assign superior, right? Let's take that option. So which organization would be the superior of XYZ Motors XYZ Motors Sales?
The executive.
Executive, correct. So let's search for executive. So it says, okay, what is the superior? So let's search for it. I think it was 1002.
So, Krish, is this an example of bottom top?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, okay. but you see that still the top has to exist. Right?
Yes.
The top has to exist. So maybe you created them one after the other without creating a subordinate relationship. So you create your individual supervisory organizations, and then after you create all of them, then maybe you want to, you can place them as per the hierarchical structure. So then you can assign a superior. So you can say superior assigned, right? Superior organization assigned. Submit. Okay, so it says it has now completed the process. If I go to the XYZ Motors sales organization now, you would see that it has already assigned a superior organization, that is XYZ Motors executive, and the top level organization is XYZ Motors. So now if I want to look at the hierarchy of XYZ Motors, I will go to the related actions. You see, I want to see the hierarchy structure of XYZ Motors. So I will go to the related actions of XYZ Motors, supervisory organization. And then I will scroll down and navigate hierarchy. Okay, let's see what we have here. So 1001 XYZ Motors, then 1002 XYZ Motors executive. Previously, we had only one subordinate. Now let's see what has happened. I will click on the drill down. And we have two subordinates, XYZ Motors Manufacturing, XYZ Motors Sales. Correct? So our organization structure looks correct, right? As per what we did yesterday. So this is our organization structure. So here we did two things. First is we created the top level organization and then we created subordinates, right? We created the first subordinate, that is XYZ Motors Executive. Then from XYZ Motors Executive, we created one more subordinate, that is XYZ Motors Manufacturing. Correct? And then we had 3 organizations in the structure. And then how did we do the XYZ Motors sales? We created that as a standalone, and then we included that as part of the hierarchy by assigning a superior. Okay, that's how we did. Now, I just showed you 2 different ways of creating the organization structure. One is we create top down, and another one I showed you was how to include an organization into an existing hierarchy. Right? You can choose either of the approaches. You can use a mix of these approaches as well. Perfectly fine. Whichever is more convenient, whichever is more suitable for the task that you are doing. If there is an existing organization, you just want to create a subordinate, you know it, go to related actions, reorganization, create subordinate, right? Easy. You have to fill up less things, right? Because a lot of the options, a lot of the parameters are inherited from the superior organization anyway, right? It's much more easier rather than creating a supervisory organization using the task. Now, what is the task to create a supervisory organization?
Create suborg.
Create
SUP
create
or
yeah create sup
Org.
or yeah create suborg will also work. Now remember, there is a space between sup and org, so do not just type it together, because then it will not work. Okay, so when you say create sup org, say yes, that is fine, but remember there is a space between sup and org, so it is 2 different words. All right, yes, questions?
I
Somebody had
have
a
one.
question.
I know we are going to learn this in future classes, but just to understand, for each organization that we just created, or for each subordinate, we have given different primary locations, correct? Will that affect in any ways?
No,
Okay.
that doesn't affect. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And also you will see that when we hire workers, when we will go maybe mid of next week, or maybe end of or beginning of next week, we will start hiring some workers. Even when we hire workers, for each of the workers we have to specify their own location, the location at which those workers are getting hired. This primary location will not play any role in the hiring of workers. This is just a placeholder. It's kind of a logical like a data which shows where is this particular department or organization located, right? Logical home of the organization. That's it. Typically, we use it as the location of the manager, right? Typically, unless there is this physical presence, like okay, let's say the Workday department is in Gurgaon, okay. So if that is the case, then when we create the Workday department, we will select the location as Gurgaon, because maybe most of our people are there, right? So maybe we can say that yeah, that is our location. I mean, in traditional offices, right? In traditional offices, you have a location of that department, right? And then you have the signage saying that yeah, sales department. Maybe at the entry you see a huge signboard saying yeah, that particular department. Remember college? When we went to colleges, and outside departments they had this big signage saying that okay, in computer science department, history department, geography department, something like that, right? So that is the physical location of that particular department, right? So so that makes sense. But nowadays with distributed offices and global companies, it is difficult to envisage like such a situation, because we say yeah, well, I am in the Workday department and I am in Bangalore, and let's say you are in the same department but you are in New York, right? So how does the location matter? But typically still we would still like to have a logical home of the department. If you don't have a physical location, enter the location of the manager, right? But apart from that, it doesn't play any other role.
Sure, appreciate it. Thank you.
Present
extracting any reports, say for example in New York, how many employees are there? So kind of reports also doesn't work?
You see, when you hire a worker, you specify the location for the worker. So if you are if you are creating your reports, and if you are creating a report based on the location, you take it from the worker's location, not the supervisory organization's location. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, because each worker will have their own location.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now
And one more question.
Yeah, now just 1 second. So in this COVID times, most of the people are working remotely. So now even new hirings happened with remote locations. So now a lot of organizations have started creating locations which say New York remote, right? So that it doesn't have any special address. It just says New York remote, and all the people who are tagged to New York but working remotely will be assigned that particular location. Let's say New York remote, things like this. Yes, go ahead with your question. Sorry.
No problem. So regarding the reorganization only. So yesterday when I was watching videos, I felt like I understood reorganization, but I got a confusion there again. Reorganization is like for tracking changes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So in the videos, like I heard, like you can create one more if required. If you're tracking changes, we have to do it for only one, right? So if we create one more, how does it affect?
Yeah, if you see, a good question. You see, can anyone answer that based on your understanding of the reorganization? Can anyone try to answer Shruti's question? What happens if we create another supervisory organ? Oh, did I get the name wrong? I'm sorry. Who asked the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, you Shruti, right? So yeah, Shruti asked the question. Can anyone try to answer Shruti's question based on your understanding of reorganization?
What I understand reorganization is like it's only one time. We just create it once to track the changes.
Yeah. And
I don't. It's just.
If I do that if I create multiple organization, it may create some duplication data.
duplication for what? It won't duplicate. Now okay. Now let's say you're creating a reorganization. Did you see that it prompted for the effective date?
Yes, it did.
It did, right? So maybe as a rule of thumb, use this. If you have certain changes which are going to be effective from, let's say, one particular date, you put them into one reorganization. If you are going to have changes with a different effective date, use another reorganization. I'm going to launch Apple iPhone 13, let's say. Well, Apple iPhone 13 was already launched, but still, let's say I'm going to launch Apple iPhone 13 on 1st of September 2021. Okay. And I'm going to launch Apple iPhone 14 on 1st of September 2022. Two different dates.
Yes.
Right?
So in that case, we can have two different reorganizations, right?
Yes. So the team that will work on Apple iPhone 13, so I will put them in one department, right? Apple iPhone 13 department, effective date of that department, 1st of September 2021. The team that will work on the next one, 1st of September 2022. Two reorganizations. Got it? Two effective dates,
Got it.
two reorganizations.
But not for 2021 two reorganizations, right?
Maybe.
There
Let's
will
say
be
you
not.
are, yeah, no. So you see, iPhone 13, September 1st, 2021, right? That effective date. You are launching iPad or maybe Mac, a new Mac on 1st of November, 2021. Yeah, create a separate effective date. Create a separate reorg. If you are going to use a different effective date, it's better to use a different reorganization. Now, what is a reorganization? One more time. What is a reorganization?
It's an event.
It's an event,
To track
right,
the changes.
to the organizational structure.
Yeah.
Correct? That's the whole definition. It's an event, but we do it to track changes made to the organizational structure. So if you are making your organizational structure changes with a particular effective date, yes, it is one reorg. If you are going to make more changes with a different effective date, create another reorg, right? Don't put everything into one reorg if they are of different effective dates. It doesn't make sense. Different effective date, different set of organizational or structural changes, definitely a new reorg. There is no limit to the number of reorgs you have to create. Use it judiciously. Do not just keep creating reorgs, but if it is for the same effective date, try to put them into one particular reorg. Okay, now let's look at the reorg that we had created, right? We have been using it. So let's go to edit reorg. Okay, and let's look at our reorg. WW_, okay, let's look at see what happened to this reorganization. You see, I created organizations with it. Whenever I created this XYZ Motors, I had chosen this reorg. I created XYZ Motors sales. I chose this reorg. You see, it is now showing up by organization. Yes, we have created two organizations. So now I can track, okay, what all happened as part of this WeWork reorganization. So I created these organizations, right? And what is, who created it? When was it created? What is the effective date? What is the reorganization date? I have all that information. Okay. This
But we
is
do
what
not see the
other two.
XYZ.
Yeah,
We do not see the XYZ manufacturing. I'm sorry.
and XYZ and XYZ executive. Yes, because those were created as subordinates of XYZ Motors. We just used the reorganization tab, but we did not select our particular reorganization. That's the reason. It's a bit confusing, I know, but that's the way it is. So for those things, we did not select it. We did not select this particular reorganization, so it did not appear here. It's only when
So,
we
in this case, this organization normally before this joining this Workday, so we used to call it as departments, no, normally.
Mhm.
So now we can we call it as department instead of organization?
What is the department? What is the
Department
department?
is department is the example the organization structure what we do.
Mhm.
Organization structure will be we make always the departments based on department like the job specification. Example, if someone is working on sales, that will be a separate department. Someone is working on marketing, that will be a separate department. Someone is executive level, that is a separate department. Likewise, we used to understand till today. That is
Okay.
how the experience which I had. But
Mhm.
here, whenever we talk about departments, we call it as organization.
Not necessarily. Are we, is this, what is the type of this organization? Everything is an organization. A company is an organization. A region is an organization. A matrix organization is an organization. What is the type of organization that we're talking here? What is the type of the organization that we discussed?
Supervisory.
Supervisory
Supervisory. Supervisory is a type of organization. What is the subtype we selected? Department.
department.
Right? The reason we do not have a straightaway department is, like, let's say your sales department is now very big. It has 4 different managers. Okay, 4 different managers. How many departments you have? One. Sales department. It has just 4 managers. So how would you create the reporting hierarchy structure in that particular organization? How many organizations would you need to create in Workday? How many supervisory organizations do you need to create if you have 4 managers?
Supervisory organization should be one only.
Then how would the members of
Four,
those organizations report to their individual managers? Let's
four
say one,
different.
Subordinate.
in that, how many subordinates will you create? How many subordinate organizations will you create?
If there is 4 managers, we have to create 4.
Correct. So there will be 4 subordinates. Now, what will you name those, or what will be the type of those organizations? It becomes challenging, right? It becomes challenging. We have to think about it. Now, in large organizations, very large organizations, think about an organization with, say, 100,000 people. Department wise, there may be, let's say, 50 departments. If you group them based on the type of work that people are doing, if you do it based on the functionality, let's say sales department, a sales department will easily have, let's say, 500 people. At the IT support team, maybe it will have 2,000 people. If in the manufacturing, you will have 50,000 people. How will you organize them? How will you, there will be many different managers for those manufacturing team, right? Your department is manufacturing, but you have 50,000 people there with, let's say, like 400 managers. Then how do you organize that? For that, you have to create supervisory organizations in Workday. And like I said, supervisory organizations are similar to departments, but I did not say that they are equal to departments. Okay? We have a subtype of department. That is what we are going to use it to mimic a real world department with a supervisory organization. But a supervisory organization is only the manager and subordinate relationship. Who reports to whom kind of structure?
Okay, I have a question, Krish. So, do we have a multiple departments under a word supervisory organization?
Of course you can.
Okay. Okay. So one more part. It's not related to the current concept, but do we have a business unit again as a part of our workday org structure?
Yes, that will be a
Oh,
custom organization, right?
oh,
From all
okay.
the Workday delivered organizations, we will say, like, let's say a factory, right? Let's say your organization is structured based on the factory,
Mm-hmm.
correct? It can be
Yeah.
like, okay, or maybe the plant, like our China plant, our Shenzhen plant, our Germany plant, our Mexico plant, our Vietnam plant, India plant, and so on. Based on that, you have a different org structure. How to do that in Workday? Maybe factory is not a delivered product, a delivered org type. Then we can
Agree.
create a custom. Then we can create a custom organization type. But still, you have to create a supervisory organization structure, because
Yeah.
without that, you won't be able to hire your workers. Then you will relate or tag your workers to a particular factory. We are not there yet. We will go, we will slowly, we are covering these organizations. But the
Okay.
primary
Fine.
concept is of a supervisory organization is who reports to whom. Okay.
Correct. So, yeah. I mean,
In a
again,
lot of in a lot of the companies, in a lot of the implementations that we have seen, what they do is they will just create an organization name as the name of the manager. They want to keep it simple. Name of the manager is the name of the organization. Let's say Surendra is a manager. They will create an organization called Surendra. All the people who are reporting to you will be hired in that particular organization, right?
okay. So I just wanted to understand the hierarchy again. So it's like, okay, I mean, business unit is again come under the supervisory organization.
Business unit is a different organization type. It's a
Okay.
custom, it's a custom organization that we will create. A worker may be associated with multiple different organization types. That's what we saw, right? One worker may be assigned to different workers, sorry, different organizations, like company, and let's go to this slide. Workers are tied to multiple independent organization types, each with a different purpose. The purpose of a supervisory organization is what? What is the purpose of a supervisory organization?
Yeah, to maintain the hierarchy,
Who reports
or
to whom, right?
obviously the subordinates. Yeah, right.
Who
That's true.
reports to whom? That's all.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
Who reports to whom, right?
Okay.
Now, you might say that, okay, our organization is structured on the basis of departments, right? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Our organization is structured based on factories. Our organization is structured based on, let's say, sales divisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different
Yeah.
requirements. There are different requirements based on different types of entities, different types of enterprises. Yes, based on that, we have to find out which type works best. Shall we create a custom organization and then relate it to the workers? Yes, we will talk about that later. But now, the first thing we have to get ready is the supervisory organization structure, because we
Thank
need
you.
to understand who reports to whom.
Yeah.
Got it?
Got it. Got it.
There are other organization types. We will explore them slowly.
Yeah, Krish, I have a doubt. So we have mentioned Logan McNeil as manager for XYZ Motors, right?
Mhm.
So she's not member of any of the organizations. We have not created an organization where she's a member, right?
Yeah,
So if we
doesn't
have
matter.
to create, it would be a superior organization for the supervisory organization, right?
For what? Logan
I
is
mean,
Logan is not part of Logan. You see, we have not hired anyone yet. So
okay.
just to show you that we can still assign roles, I have assigned Logan as the manager. But
So
typically,
she's the
yes,
manager for XYZ
she
Motors.
correct.
And
Yes,
she's not a
but
member of any of the organization, right?
yes, because we have not hired her at all.
Okay.
She
So
was
if we
already
have
there.
to hire her, then it should be a superior organization to XYZ Motors.
If she's an employee of XYZ Motors hierarchy, yes. If she's the CEO, if she's the
Okay.
CEO, then yes. But then we don't need to create one more level on top of this. We can hire
Okay.
her in XYZ Motors itself, isn't it? Because in the
Yeah.
top level organization, the CEO is the member as well as the manager,
Manager.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we can do that.
Krish, can you talk about availability date one more time? Can you go over that again, please?
Availability date of the supervisory organization, or of for any object for that
Of
matter,
any
right?
object, yeah,
Yeah.
any of
Yeah.
it.
So see, this is a HCM system. This is a software. If ultimately Workday is a software that mimics the things in the real world. This is just a system of record, correct? So when you are actually creating that department in your real organization, the effective date of that change, let's say you become a manager, and I'm going to say that, okay, from the 1st of April, you are going to be a manager. You're going to handle a team of 10 people, right? 1st of April, you are going to be the manager. So if I am going to create an organization for you, what will be the effective date?
1st of April.
1st of April, right? That is the date that your organization is going to be created. So I can create it now, but I will effective date it as 1st of April. And
Okay.
let's say I have 15 people reporting to me. 10 of them will start reporting to you, Suchitra, from the 1st of April. Correct? Then what will happen? I will create the organization. I will call it as Suchitra's team, or maybe Suchitra. Effective date of 1st of April 2022. And then I will transfer my workers, I mean, people who are reporting to me, I will transfer them to you with an effective date of 1st of April,
1st April.
right?
Got
So
it.
before that, like today, if you look at the org chart, they will, it will show as they're reporting to me. If I look at the org chart with an effective date of 2nd of April, we will see that they are reporting to you,
Okay.
right?
So if we do a view as of
Oh,
today, so it'll
yeah.
show, yeah, okay,
The
got it.
reporting to Krish. If we are seeing view, and if we are seeing view Suchitra's organization as of today, it might not even exist, right? Because
Right.
it has not been created with that effective date. But if I view it with an effective date of 2nd of April, it will show that there are 10 people who are reporting to you.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
That's why this effective date is very important, because whatever we
Yeah.
do in Workday, we will do it with an effective date. Let's say the hiring. I'm hiring a new worker. The new worker is going to join us on the 1st of June after finishing all his commitments and serving notice period, etc., etc. But we have finished hiring. We have finished hiring that candidate. That candidate is going to join us on the 1st of June. So in the record, in this particular workday, I will enter the data of the worker. I will say the hiring date is 1st of June, right? But when am I making the entry? I'm making the entry today, the 9th of March, but I'm making it with an effective date of 1st of June, right? But the
Okay.
worker will not be visible today. The worker will only be visible on or after 1st of June. Correct?
Right.
That's why effective dating is so important. In Workday, you have the option of effective dating in the past, effective dating as of current date, or effective dating in the future as well. Right?
Okay.
Most of the things. Some things cannot be done with a past effective date, but most of the things can be done with a past effective date, future effective date, or today's date as the effective date.
Okay.